We are officially in the month of March, and that means that I am celebrating women, International Women's Day, and all that it means to embrace equity. That is the theme for International Women's Day this year. And today's guest certainly is someone who embraces that, not just as being a part of the larger whole, but also for making other people feel seen, for making people know that they belong, and for having that sense of welcoming to everyone she comes in contact with. Now, you've heard me talk about one of my favorite stores here where I live in the north in Sudbury with a beautiful online boutique. But the owner of the store, Gabrielle Roy, is a proud mother, business owner, and she is truly a dedicated community leader who is a true inspiration to me, someone who I look up to and a role model who has made a huge impact on my life. She was born and raised even farther north than where we are right now in Kapuskasing, Ontario, and her entrepreneurial spark ignited at the young age of 13 when she landed her first dream job. Now, her path took her in many directions, as you will learn in this conversation today, but eventually she landed in Sudbury and pursued her true passion, following her true dream to opening her boho fashion boutique, which is called Stitch and Stone. So 8 years ago, this beautiful store was born. And if we're looking forward to today, she has an incredible brick and mortar store, a warehouse, an incredible team of dedicated employees, and a thriving online store with a client base that spans all across Canada and even over the borders. It was such an honor to have this chat with Gabe, as she is so affectionately known, and I look forward to sharing this with you. So let's get right into it. Welcome to the Juggle is Real podcast. I'm your host, Andryanna and Gabe. A few years ago, burnout nearly cost me that happy, fulfilled life that I'd always dreamed of. Every day left me feeling overwhelmed with stress at work, at home, and just with life in general. I felt like I was constantly running and couldn't catch my breath. So I embarked on a journey of finding better balance, of learning how to prioritize my own needs, of shifting my mindset to live with more ease and balance, of learning how to do more without the pressure of doing it all. And I discovered that letting go of the need for a perfect life opened up opportunities to bring in more joy. So I am sharing my experience and my learnings with you so that you don't have to struggle. I want to show by example how liberating and empowering it can be to silence expectations, to learn how to live through the chaos of work and family with grace, joy, and ease. So what do you think? Are you with me? Let's get started. Gabe, welcome to the Juggle is Real podcast. I'm so happy that you're with us. How are you doing today? You're hiding in your car. It's a quiet spot. How are you doing?
Yes, I am doing great. Thank you. I'm having a great Tuesday so far. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah. It's such a pleasure to be chatting with you. I think I've mentioned this in so many different ways in places and ads and on my social media, but everything that you do, I just admire so much, and I appreciate it, especially from the perspective of entrepreneurship and the things that you have accomplished, but how you seem to just be doing it with such grace and ease, and how it just seems to be so natural for you. And I'm sure that there have been challenges, and I'd love to chat about that today, but it's so lovely to see people who are truly just in their zone of genius and doing what they're truly meant to do. So thank you for that.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. There certainly is. Yes, I'm glad it looks easy on the outside. That's great.
Well, you know what? I think, whatever we're doing, there's always challenges and there's bumps along the way, but I love everything that you're doing right now. So I have heard you speak, and I was actually thinking about this as this episode recording date came near, but I heard you speak, and it was for an International Women's Day event a number of years ago. And as we are in the month of March and we're celebrating this month of, International Women's Day and month, I just think that it's so beautiful that we've kind of come full circle and we're having this conversation. And I really loved hearing about your start. The path for you wasn't always like cut straight and dry. You've gone on some twists and turns. You're from the north, but way up north, like north as far as Kapuskasing. And you had, some early, insights into retail, but then you went to school, you worked in a healthcare, a corporate environment, you helped your husband in his business pursuits, and then you realized your own dreams to start your own business. So I would just love to hear about those steps and the journey that you've taken to opening the doors to Stitch and Stone and that journey to entrepreneurship and where you are today.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, like you mentioned, I definitely have kind of, I call it a winding road, if you like to call it that. Mine was, I feel like I dabbled in many different things before I kind of finally found my thing. But truthfully, you're right. I grew up in Kapuskasing, and my first job was working retail at this, it was called the Dugout. It was a sports store. And at the time I was very sporty. So I loved that job. And my boss was a woman. And back then, there really weren't, well, in my small town, there really weren't too many women business owners. Every time you go into a store, the owner was a man, everywhere. And this was a sports store, and she was a woman, and she was running this store, and she was an entrepreneur. And I looked up to her so much. And she was kind of like my first mentor, I guess you could call it. I worked there through high school, and I always hoped one day I would own my own store. I loved the people. I loved the challenge. Most of the time, like once I got older and I was in grade 12, she would leave for periods of time and I would take care of the store. And I felt like, I was the boss, and I was like, wow, I just loved it so much. I loved all aspects of retail. Many people don't understand that. They're like, why do you work in retail? I love retail because I know it's not for everybody. But it's for me. I love the challenge. I love, so many of our customers have become family. So I really loved it. But fast forward, then I got a little bit older and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to college. So my dream was to be a physio. So I went to school, and kind of pursued that avenue and, got the full-time job at the hospital with the pension and the benefits, and mom and dad were proud of me and that whole thing. And I did that for about, I'm going to say about 5 to 7 years, somewhere in that neighborhood. And, it's a really hard thing to come face to face with when you realize that, your dream career, the where you went to school for, and everybody has all the expectations for you, to let everybody down. I think that was the hardest thing. I was realizing that wasn't for me. And, I had finally landed the full-time job. I'd finally got the benefits, because you bounce around in part-time positions, and I finally got full-time, and I did that for a few years. And I just remember like having such a hard time in that role and in that environment and realizing it wasn't for me. So I let everybody down around me, my parents, and, but they were okay with it obviously after a while, but it was more me, I was embarrassed. I was finally kind of quitting and pursuing something that I had really wanted to do. And I mean, during that time as well, like I hear you talk about burnout a lot. And, I was working 2 jobs for a very long time. So I was maxed out, super burnt out, and I just had to start making some changes. So I did some other things, which I won't bore you with, but I definitely did some other entrepreneurial stuff in the corporate world. So I did that for a little bit. And then full circle, I remember having kids, and I was a new mom, and I had a new body. And I remember trying to go shopping, and my shopping experience wasn't the greatest for me. I had went to the mall and I was like, I don't fit in American Eagle pants anymore. I just was having like a really hard time. And I've always been very unique. I mean, I think as most people know, I have a different style, and I just couldn't find my place where I kind of fit in. You know what I mean? I was finally like growing as a woman. I was finally coming into my own, and I was like, oh man, like I go to the mall, or I try to go to different stores, and it just wasn't my vibe, I call it, And I also remember going into a boutique, kind of a higher end boutique, down south. And I remember thinking, okay, I have money, I have a job, I'm going to go to this store and I'm going to treat myself and get myself a nice outfit, and somebody can help me and dress me and that whole thing. And I went in, and I'm most of the time if people see me, I'm usually dressed very comfortable. So I was probably in sweatpants with a hat on and a big coat. And I went in and I remember feeling like I didn't belong there, like immediately they were like, oof, like, and I'm like thinking, I'm in sweatpants, I need help. Like, this should be the opposite of what people should be feeling. When you go into a store, people should feel welcome. They should feel like if they need a hand, the staff are there to help. There's no judgment. If I want to go in my sweatpants, I'll go in my sweatpants, but give me a hand and help me out, And I just thought like the whole fashion world had this very kind of cliche thing. Like you have to kind of like fit into that world. And I just never felt like I fit in there, and that's kind of how Stitch was born. Really, I thought, you know what? I just feel like I want to create a space where it's like going into your best friend's closet, or like very homey. I want it to smell good. I want, the aesthetics to be beautiful. I want the staff to be welcoming, and I want people to be able to come in and dress however they want. You know what I mean? Some people might feel really great in a power suit and heels, and that's amazing. And other people might feel really great in a boho dress and a hat, and that's their power suit. Everybody's different. So I really wanted a place where people could embrace their vibe. So that's how Stitch was kind of born. That's kind of my winding journey.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And a few things like that just came up as you were telling us this story, which is really, really cool to hear. I think for so many of us, we've kind of journeyed down the path that we felt was safe, right? Like the conservative, what we thought was expected of us, or what we thought we should be doing. And I think that many of us, can relate to that. And having that moment where maybe we have realized whatever those goals were that we created for ourselves because of outside expectations, or because of what we thought our life should look like. And you kind of come up short, and you're at this point where you're like, okay, so I'm doing what I said I was going to do, but it's not feeling great with me. And I think that's so courageous of you to actually see that in yourself, and, doing the things, leaving a safe job, a pension and benefits, and all of the things that people think are, put up on a pedestal and say, that's what the ideal job would have, is, have all of this safety, but to be able to turn that down, knowing that it truly wasn't meant for you. I think a lot of people grapple with that, or are grappling with it, because they're like, how can I turn my back on being safe, especially if you have a family, to go, to go for what you wanted, to go for your passion, and to truly follow your heart. And so I applaud you for this, and I admire you for this. And I have to say that, having been in your store so many different times, and, different stores over the years, as well as your online store, I can truthfully say that what sets it apart, this unique, differentiator, is that you truly do feel a very welcoming vibe when you walk in the doors. You feel that sense of belonging, and you really feel seen, because, there are so many different options, and, different styles of clothing, different sizes. You have, clothing in a large size range. And then you have, different items for the home, and things that make people feel really, wonderful. So I think that, being able to see that in yourself, and take that step forward, it seems so natural. It looks so normal. It looks like, you've been doing this your whole life. It's truly what you're meant to be doing. And you have this role of being this business owner of this beautiful retail channel, but this wasn't always the reality. So now that you're in the position that you're in, you can look backward, you can see this journey that you've been on. What would you say was that biggest factor that drove you to pursue and follow your dreams and start this business? Or what were fears that you had to overcome in order to be where you are?
Yeah, I think what happens, I think a lot of women will understand this. I think when you work really, really hard, and you hit burnout, a lot of things happen when you hit a burnout. There's a lot of like self-realizations that come out of that. There's a lot of things. You really kind of start to realize you have to make some changes in order to make, you really start to realize that you're not happy, and that's truthfully what had happened. I just felt like my cup was like completely empty. My soul was sucked dry. I was like, I just felt like an imposter. Truthfully, I just felt like this is not the life I'm supposed to be living. I Yeah. And, in those moments, I think like you're so much at rock bottom that taking a risk really isn't anything. A lot of people are like, oh my God, I can't believe you took the risk. Like, you must have been so scared. And really, I kind of felt like I had nothing to lose because I was so, like I said, like empty inside. I was like, you know what? The only other way is up. That's how I felt. And
Wow.
so I think hitting that burnout was a really big turning point because I had been working so much. I was working at the hospital and I was working my husband's job, and I loved working. I've always been a workaholic. I really, really loved it, but I wasn't I was working like 80 hours a week doing things that weren't for me. It wasn't filling my cup whatsoever. I had lost all my creativity. I'm very creative in my life, and I was doing these very like corporate-y, you know, different things that just weren't fulfilling whatsoever. So I just took a shot. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing things that are authentic to me. And when I opened my first store, I remember taking the paper down. There was a lineup out the door, and I remember taking I could cry thinking about it, taking the paper down off the windows to like finally like reveal our store. And I thought it was like taking my clothes off in front of 1,000 people, because it was me. It was like everything about it was like authentically me, and so I finally felt like I had found my thing. You know what I mean? I was like, this is it. This everything about my business is a reflection of who I am. I don't think there's anything else. I can't fake it. You know what I mean? This is me, and it felt right in my heart, in my soul. My cup was full. And so, yeah, that was kind of what led me to take the jump, I guess. Burnout. Yeah.
Yes, I can relate. I can relate. I think a lot of people can, but I think what's so
Yeah.
cool is that it's not like you're working any less or less hard than you were
No.
before. You still
Yeah.
are doing a lot within your business, inside and outside of your business. But I
Mhm.
think the big changes and what has shifted is that you're actually doing something that you
Yeah.
truly love, that you actually
Yeah.
really want to be doing, and
Yeah.
it's I think that differentiator. And I mean,
Yeah.
my best friend is a physiotherapist, and that is
Yeah.
so fulfilling. Like, I think that was her destiny and the role that she was
Yeah.
meant to play. She's
Yeah.
also a business owner as well.
Exactly.
So it just
Yep.
goes to show you that, we all have unique paths and unique
That's right.
passions. And so to be able to tap in and to actually give yourself enough space to pause and listen. And sometimes it is perhaps forced upon us when we have
Mm-hmm.
to, face burnout or, face
Mm-hmm.
illness or face challenges that force us to look at it. But if we can
Mm-hmm.
just be quiet enough to ask
Mm-hmm.
ourselves the question of like,
Mm-hmm.
what do I really want, and listen
Mm-hmm.
to that answer and
Yeah.
be able to push forward. I love that you've been able to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting because you started your entrepreneurship journey with having children. So
Mm-hmm.
many of us are navigating entrepreneurship and motherhood. Some of us are in a corporate space, maybe with a side hustle. Some of us have,
Mm-hmm.
are business owners. Some of us are in a corporate environment, but some had kids and then they started the business like you. Others had the business first and then they had
Mm-hmm.
children. So how old were
Yeah.
your kids when you started Stitch and Stone?
Um, my daughter was 2 and my son was 5. So they were just little
Wow.
peanuts. Yeah. Yeah. Looking back, I honestly don't know how I did it. It's kind of wild, I don't know. But yeah, they were little. They were really small. I
So
have a
any
very supportive husband.
challenges?
So
Yes.
yeah, that was very helpful. So
Someone who really, he believed in your
he's
dreams and your
always been in my
aspirations.
court. Yeah. And he's been a very supportive husband. So truthfully, I could have never done it without anybody who would have been so supportive. You know what I mean? Like when I told him, like so many husbands or partners could have been like, "Are you crazy? Like, what are you doing, quitting the hospital or whatever?" And I mean, he knew what kind of position I was in. I just was like, not happy. It's very not happy. And when I told him, I said, "I don't know. I'm thinking of doing this. I think it'd be really great. I'll try it." He was like, "Go for it." I was like, "Oh my God, really?" Like anytime I want to do something, he's like, "Yeah, you should do that." I'm like, "You should tell me no sometimes,
Yeah.
Maybe you should say no." No, but he's always been so supportive. And, Stitch has evolved so much over the years. And every time I'm like, I want to go into a bigger store. I wanted to, do a pop-up in Muskoka. He's like, yeah, that's a great idea. He's just always supported me. And, and he's been such a great partner with the kids. That's the hardest thing, right? Is if I'm not at work, who's watching the kids? And, if I'm not around, he's like, I got it. Like, I've got the kids, so I couldn't have done it without a supportive husband like him. So I've been very, very lucky in that sense. So I got off
That's
track. Sorry.
incredible. That's
Yeah.
incredible. No, I think that it's so important to mention because,
Mhm.
they say it takes a village in motherhood, which it
It
certainly
truly does.
does. Some of
Yeah.
us have more support than others. Some of us have more supportive people than others
Hmm.
in our lives.
Yeah.
And so, being that your husband, someone who's so close to you, was so supportive, I think truly is a blessing.
Hmm.
But also being able to reach out to, create community and everything that you've done with, the team that you've built, the people that
Hmm.
you hire, the people that you surround yourself with, I think is also a true testament of truly having that village of support, but also,
Hmm.
being able to lean on others in order to realize your dreams. So I would just love to
Hmm.
know, it sounds like, your husband has certainly been a great blessing to you. Any
Hmm.
challenges or other blessings that you can, kind of look back on and say, you overcame the hurdles because of it,
Hmm.
in entrepreneurship or motherhood?
Well, I think like being a mom and being an entrepreneur is truly unique. And I think anybody who goes through it will tell you the same thing. Um, I think on my biggest challenges as a mom and an entrepreneur is being away from my kids. And like when I'm at work, my brain is with my kids, and when I'm with my kids, my brain is with my work. It's so I've struggled so much in the last 8 years, and I think a lot of women entrepreneurs, mom entrepreneurs will still say the same, is trying to be present. Okay, you're at work, focus on work. The kids are good, and now you're with the kids, be present with the kids, and work is fine. Separating those two are just blurred lines, and I don't think there's any way around it. I think it's just learning how to manage the two and try to stay balanced somehow. That's I think been my biggest struggle. I missed out on a lot of my young kids' life in the first 5 years of my business because I worked so much and I had to do what I had to do to get it going. So looking back, that's been really hard for me to look back on and just think of how much I missed. But I think maybe the blessing now is that my business is more established. It's been 8 years. And I think COVID had a lot to do with this, was just making me realize time goes by really quick. And I had to make some changes. So, I've really made an effort on having the right team behind me. I have an amazing team who I can lean on and rely on so that I can be home with my kids for dinner. That is my biggest thing. I want to be home for my kids for dinner. If I have to go to work after, then fine, so be it. But I need 2 to 3 hours from like 4 to 7, because otherwise, when am I going to see them? And before you know it, like my son is 14 right now. Like I have like 4 years left. I already feel him slipping away. He's going into teenager, stage. And I'm
Yes,
like, oh,
yes.
so I try, if I can get 2 hours with them every day, that's my time. So I step away from work. I'm like, work can wait until like 7 or 8 p.m. or it can wait until the next day. It's still there the next day, where before I didn't do that. I was like, I have to do it. I have to get it done. I'll see the kids later. And now I'm like, okay, the time is now. Like my kids are at such a crucial age now. So the blessing is now, I've worked so hard for so long that I'm trying to prioritize those times that are really important for my family, and being able to step away a bit now because I have an amazing team, and I can do that. So that's my blessing right now. Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. And I mean, I love that you're carving out that time in that space and you're prioritizing the things that truly matter to you. Motherhood, entrepreneurship, like it's always changing. There's adventures and there's difficulties, there's challenges, wins, and everything at every turn. And like you said, burnout is a factor, especially for female leaders who have children. It was part of your experience. It was part of my experience. And in already, experiencing that, I would love to know, you give so much to your career and your business, you give so much to your family. How do you take care of your own needs? How do you balance those priorities within your family and your business life to carve out a little space for Gabe? I would love to know.
Oh, well, I always watch your stories and it's so inspiring because I love all the things you do to like, one day I want to be like you. I'm like, oh, I would love to incorporate those things into my life. It just looks so amazing. So one day I need to learn those things from you. But a funny thing that I've started to do, which is probably hilarious to many people, is I started to play tennis. And it's a funny thing. I used to be a racket. I used to play badminton like forever ago. And my daughter started playing tennis. I was like, oh man, this looks fun. I would like to start to play. And so anyways, make a long story short, I started playing about 9 months ago. And it's the first time in 8 years that I take out an hour a day. I play 5 days a week. I take an hour a day to go play because I'm not great at it, but my mental health is so much better for it. I'm happy. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you. Like, I know, whatever you're doing, like as an entrepreneur, whether it's meditating, yoga, it's going to the gym, whether it's taking a nap, whatever it is, I think it's just so important to carve out that time during the day and I make it happen. I'm like, I'm playing for an hour. I feel so much better. I'm happy. I can get on with the rest of my day. And I've just really truly realized how important it is to my health. You know what I mean? My mental health, my physical health, all that kind of stuff. So I feel a lot better for it. So yeah, I play tennis once a day.
Tennis. Just love
So
to
funny.
whack that
It's just
ball, get all
hilarious.
that.
It's very therapeutic. Yeah.
Totally.
So
I don't know that
funny.
I have like the cardio, like the stamina to be able to run around a court like that, but I
Yeah.
certainly appreciate that's awesome. I love to hear
It's a good
that.
workout. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, because you know what? You are known for wearing so many hats.
No,
Literally,
yeah.
you're
Yeah.
wearing a ball cap. You can't see right now. You're wearing a hat right now, but I love I don't know that hats were super in when you started wearing them. I feel like they're so much more mainstream now, but I
Mhm.
always love seeing like you're always wearing a hat and you look so
Yeah.
cool all the time. But you're known for wearing so many hats, literally,
Yeah.
metaphorically. So I love that you are turning to some self-care when you take off the mom hat, the boss hat, business hat, all of the things that you are finding that space for yourself. And I would love to hear from you just in terms of taking action. Like you've mentioned how you've sort of overcame some of those fears, you saw within yourself that you needed to make a change in your life, even in, it maybe wasn't the quote unquote perfect time for you. And I don't know that
Mhm.
there ever is a perfect time. You
Mhm.
had young children, you had a safe career, your husband was busy, there's a lot on the go. So for the listeners who might want to start a business or might want to leave the role that they're in to start something new or, a side hustle or something,
Mhm.
maybe they're scared, they're not sure where to start. Do you have any
Mhm.
advice that you can offer?
Mm. Yes. Um, I always lead with my gut. I mean, that's something I've done my whole life in um every single little journey that I've been on to get to here. And you always have to follow with your heart, be authentic to yourself, and truly lead with your gut because I just truly feel like those things will not steer you wrong. And listen, I've listened to my gut and been on some weird paths. I'm like, why am I here? I start like, how did I get here? You know, but all those things, like all those little things that got me to here were stepping stones. You know what I mean? Like all of those things I learned I learned new things. I met different people. I
Yes.
gained new skills, whatever it was. I'm telling you, the number of jobs I have done, but they were all so important. And I tell all my staff that, even the girls that work for me, I mean, the girls up at the store, most of them are university girls. They're not going to be with me forever. And so I try to inspire them sometimes. And I'm like, I know right now this is just a retail job for you guys, but look at it this way. Like you're learning how to communicate with people just because it's just a retail job, you're going to take away skills from this job that are going to help you in another position in your life. So every time you get something new, don't look at it as, oh, it's just a job. You're there for a reason. For some reason, the universe kind of guided you in that direction, and learn from it. You know what I mean? It's there for a reason. And you're going to look back on it in years to come and go, oh my gosh, like at that time I thought it was useless, but I met this person who connected me to this job. Or I just feel like there's just always a reason for those different paths we take. So I always say, just listen to your gut. And, I think we have to be doing things in our day. We work, 8, 10, 12, 14 hours a day, whatever it is doing. It has to be something you love and something that fills your cup. You have to feel fulfilled during the day. Or I think you're going to get to a point where you're going to hate it and you're going to quit and you're going to move on. I mean, that's just the reality, right? I think unless we feel fulfilled and we feel like we're making a difference and there's a purpose to what we're doing, then I feel like you'll probably just move on. So that's my advice.
Love it. Love it. My first job was a hostess. And I
Yep.
can say that so many takeaways from that, just like learning how to
Right?
communicate, have a
Yeah,
conversation, just randomly chit chat with someone that you don't know,
exactly.
have nothing in
Yeah,
common with,
yeah.
just shoot the
They're important
breeze.
skills. Yeah.
Absolutely. As well as pointing to tables. I'm really great
Yeah.
at that, handing out menus. I
Yeah.
would love to know, like you mentioned following your gut. And I don't know that if you've looked into human design, if you've looked at your profile or what your human design profile is, I would love to know more about that. But what does that mean for you to follow your gut? Is it a feeling? Is it like, do you see a color or do you hear
Hmm.
sound, or is it like something literally
It's
like you get a feeling in your
yeah.
stomach area? Yeah.
For me, yeah. I mean, well, that's a good question. I've never been asked that before. It's definitely a feeling. Honestly, I feel like I'm very intuitive. um, I just, I don't know. Sometimes I can honestly just, it's going to sound ridiculous. I don't know. I
No.
usually can tell, I can usually tell, you know, where the universe is trying to guide me. Do you know what I mean? I can usually feel that. I don't know. I think you have to be open enough in your heart and
Yes.
in your mindset to be able to listen. Do you know what I mean? And you said it a
Yes.
little while ago in our conversation. Um, those moments when everything's really quiet and you can just listen, those are some of the most important times, I think, in making important decisions. I think being able to yeah, just listen to what the universe is trying to tell you. Do you know what I mean?
I
A lot of
do.
times it's
Yeah.
scary, but I think I just don't think it's going to steer you wrong. So I'm very open to that kind of stuff. So I often listen. All my friends always say, they're like, oh gosh, what has the universe told you now? I'm like, well, because I don't know. I'm just very open to that. And I think you just have to really listen to your gut and to what the universe is trying to tell you. And if it's a strong feeling to tell you to go north, then you should go north. Whatever that
Yes.
direction may be, I think you just have to follow it. Yeah.
Well, it's so interesting because I think when you speak to people who are successful like yourself, people who have, followed their passions and pursued things that maybe weren't the most conservative choice for them, I think they all can credit their success to being able to tap into that that
Hmm.
that intuition, be able to say, like, you know what, it just didn't feel right for me, but this
Hmm.
did, and this felt better, so
Hmm.
I just followed that. And so
Yeah.
I love that you
Hmm.
can say that you're doing that. And a lot of entrepreneurs credit their personal mindset. Are there things that you're doing? Do you have you read any particular books, or do you do coaching, or is there any sort of like mindset work that you keep yourself
Hmm.
motivated? Because as an entrepreneur, like it's you, right? The buck stops at you.
Hmm.
So you have
Yeah.
to not only, motivate yourself to wake up early on a Saturday morning and try on
Yeah.
50 outfits for Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
are the one who has to, you're the face, you're the
Yeah.
brand, you are,
Hmm.
the people who are you're the one who's motivating your
Hmm.
team. So like,
Hmm.
what do you do to be able to do that, be there for
Yeah.
others?
Unfortunately, I haven't been able to, like, I really haven't been able to do all of those mindset kind of things, which I think is so inspiring. And I think I'm getting there. I'm going to be able to take space and time to start doing that a little bit more. For me, what motivates me, honestly, oh my gosh, I love my customers. I truly do. I think they really inspire me. A lot of people say, like, who inspires you? And I say, truthfully, my friends, my my mom, my family members, other women in the community. Oftentimes I just, being with different people and watching them live their life, they inspire me, and like, and how to run my business or what kind of clothes to buy. Or sometimes I'll see my friend walk by and like, oh wow, I love those jeans and that outfit. Like, everyday women inspire me and motivate me. I think my team really inspires me, truthfully. I work with incredible women. And truthfully, this was a dream of mine. And, a lot of people entrepreneur success is a dollar amount. For me, it's the people that I get to spend my day with. That was my dream. It was being able to have a team where I could walk into my space and laugh with, cry with, have fun with, work incredibly hard with. Because of other places that I had worked where I really didn't enjoy the environment and the negativity, that was a big driving force to my business. Was, success to me is being able to walk into my space every day, say good morning, we grab our tea, we get to work, and it's just a positive, loving environment. And that is something I've always wanted. And we finally have gotten there, and I'm like, this is, anyways, I kind of went off track, but my team inspires me very, very much. And it was something I've always really, really wanted, was to be surrounded by other amazing women. And I am, so I'm very lucky.
Well, it shines through. It truly does. And I think for those who have shopped in your store or even online, how you curate things and how you put things together is like none other. And you do such a great job. And I think the heart and the spirit and the energy, like you mentioned, it is such a vibe that is so unique and beautiful. So Stitch and Stone, definitely one of my favorite places just to go and to scroll through and to follow along. So I hope that everyone else can do that as well. Just to end on a fun note, I would love to know what your favorite sort of go-to boss mom look is.
Oh my gosh.
The boss mom look for just owning your awesomeness. I know that, it's different for everyone. What is that? Like what are you wearing when you feel most authentic to yourself?
Oh, my favorite outfit. Well, isn't geared to today's type of weather, but I love having a flowy floral fun dress on with my hat and probably Converse or a sneaker of some sort, because they must be comfortable. Either that, or I love my big oversized hoodies and, my hat, my jeans. Either one of those type of outfits, depending on my mood. Those are my two favorite looks.
Love it. Love it. Gabe, thanks so much for spending some time with us today. Where can we find you when we want to go look for Stitch and Stone?
Oh, yes. Well, of course, up on the Kingsway at 1332 Kingsway, or online at stitchandstone.ca.
Beautiful. Thanks so much for all of your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
I'm sure you could feel the spark and the energy that Gabe just emanates whenever she speaks about her store and following her dreams and really pursuing her passions. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. There are links in the show notes to take a look at the online boutique at Stitch and Stone and to follow them online for all of the boho chic inspired fashion that they offer. I've loved having this conversation with you. As you continue to celebrate International Women's Day all throughout March, I hope that you look to embracing equity, just doing everything and going above and beyond, not only for yourself, but for the women around you. We can all play a huge part in being included and including others. And that is something that Gabe has done. So I will leave you with that. If you like this episode, can you do me a favor and give this one a rating? Write a quick review, share it with a friend, share it on your stories on Instagram, and tag me at Andryanna G. Until the next time, take good care.